Podcast is now sponsored by TyreSpot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. TyreSpot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. Full house tonight, boys, once again. 2 weeks in a row.
It's not what's happening today, is this?
Yeah. So, 2 weeks in a row, you've got a full quartet in myself, Chris, Decker, Bestie, and Mr. Mark Walker. So, as always, we are here to review the last game that's just gone by, which was Newcastle United versus Bournemouth. But just from the offset, if you do have any questions which you do want answered, send them our way. We'll note them down and we'll go through as many as possible at the end of the show. So let's get down to it. I'm going to dive straight in with football crack once again. I think this is a third podcast in a row. We've gone straight in on it. I'm sure there will be some stories and outbursts along the way. But I want to talk about the current form of Newcastle United. And I'm going to come to you, Bestie, because you highlighted this just a few weeks ago, saying that it becomes 1 win in 7, is it now?
7 or 8, yeah.
So obviously we'll pick up another draw at the weekend, a game which you would probably expect Newcastle to win, especially the performances which will have been portraying in other games.
I think so, yeah. I mean, you should never kind of take for granted that you're going to turn up and win a game, especially when Bournemouth have just changed their manager as Gary O'Neill now, instead of Scott Parker having been pumped. Scott Parker, who I'm pretty sure was trying to get sacked from like the end of last season, some of the stuff he was coming out with.
I haven't lost a game since, have I?
I don't think I have, no. And yeah, I think the kind of point I've made a few times over the years is like when you get a run of draws, the game at the end of it that breaks that run, which isn't quite the case this time for the Liverpool game, which did break the run, is the one that you kind of the run of draws gets judged on almost. So you can have you're unbeaten in 5, then you win. Mm-hmm. It's I haven't lost in 6. Unbeaten in 5, then lose, and I haven't won in 6. And we are at the kind of, because of the Liverpool game being the result it was, we are now at the point where we haven't won since the first game this season, nor are we unbeaten because of the Liverpool thing as well. So, but at the performance, I mean, it's a strange one. It was like playing Newcastle under Benitez. There he is. There's his mentioned early on there, but he like the sat tight, they were compact, the deep, caught on the break with a goal and a couple of chances. Our defence didn't seem to deal very well with. I'm sure I'll mention as we'll go on. But yeah, it was I don't think the forms are concerned particularly. You can see where we're deficient. I think the injuries, Saint-Maximin, Bruno, Shelby, even and Wilson. I think you can put a lot of the blame, such as it is, for the run of results, for the run of kind of away. Well, still 10th in the league, like 3 points off 5th or 6th. So it's not catastrophic, you know what I mean? I don't want to kind of come across as being a doom-monger out like that. But I think it's fair to say that results haven't been quite what we'd hoped. But without being impatient and kind of, I think performances, as we've said a few times since the start of the season, performances have been encouraging. Mm-hmm. But I think what we saw on Saturday was, I think the lack of cutting edge, lack of quality in the final third was really apparent.
Can you argue, Mark, that, and I'm playing devil's advocate here because I saw mention over the last couple of days there, we probably had a similar conversation under the first handful of games under Steve McLaren, where performances were all right,
even go there,
but results we weren't getting the results. And like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate. At what point do you start looking at going, you need 3 points? Performances aren't enough. You need points on the board.
I think that the difference was, yes, we were putting in good performances, but we were losing games. Whereas this time around, albeit, yes, we are drawing the games, it's been very fine margins where we've drawn these games. Decisions have gone against us and all of that kind of thing. And there's that bit between just getting a bit of a rub of the green and getting a bit of luck that would have changed our form upside down, and we wouldn't be sitting talking about having all of those draws in a row and drawing these comparisons to a terrible time in our recent
It
history.
wasn't a bad team that either,
It wasn't, not at all. No,
just a terrible manager.
it's and there was some good players, and as you've just said, Chris, there were some good, promising performances, and we sat and talked about, we'll pull this around.
Turn around, yeah.
I'm much more confident that we would have the ability to turn it around with the manager that we've got now compared to the one we had at the time.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing here. I just thought I better mention it because the talk over the last few days has been about performances, and that Decker, yes, the performances have been decent. We've seen an attack in Newcastle United side in every single game. We've gone toe to toe with the champions of last season and the runners up from last season. But then you're going to come up against teams like Bournemouth who will park the bus, and we're struggling
100%.
to break them down.
Yeah, it's
I feel as if this is really negative to start with.
It feels like that. Yeah,
Things will
there's
change
like an
soon.
atmosphere in here already.
I think what's going to be important about this conversation as the time goes on, right, is I think there might be a lot of negativity here, but I think we're basing it on the 90 minutes we're reviewing. I think that's important to remember because we're talking about the game we've just watched.
Yeah.
So there will be some negativity, but that doesn't mean we're meaning it's negative across everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just meaning the game we're reviewing.
There were still positives in that game, though.
Not many, but there was a few. Not
But
many.
that's
for me.
you don't always
but-
have to look at the negative side of it, though.
I think it's just frustrating that I feel we've been hard done by with decisions that have made it look like, oh, we've only won one game. We should have beat Palace. That's an actual fact that
Yeah.
we should have won that game, right?
Mhm.
So that would have been two.
You know,
what I mean?
Man City.
Yeah, well,
Should have had a penalty.
the Man City one, yeah. I mean, the reason why I've got confidence is that, we go back to that City game, we ripped them apart for an hour. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that gives us loads. I still think the Liverpool game, I thought that we handled ourselves well in that one. For all Liverpool aren't quite the same anymore, but it's really hard, isn't it? Because you go on Twitter after that game, and it's as if the floors fell out, and it's the worst. Everyone's booing at half time, and I'm like, fucking hell,
That was
lads.
berserk, the booing, I thought.
I know I've just jumped, sorry, there massively,
No,
but
it's fine.
it's frustrating, and it was a frustrating game. It's can't get away from it. I was frustrated. I think everybody, the players were, everyone was, but like, it hasn't been a bad start. You know what I mean? We have only lost one game. I still think we should take solace in that. And I appreciate what happened. Then the argument to that is, well, we've only won the first game of the season. We haven't won since, but I don't know. That doesn't really tell the full story. I don't think personally.
Yeah. I completely get that. Of course I do. Let's get into the game itself, and let's go through some of the positives. The starting lineup I want to mention there is Botman drops to the bench.
Yeah.
Rumors that he picked up some sort of injury in the warm-up, which took him out of that starting 11. I'm not sure how true that is, but let's pretend it's not true.
It can be true.
Anyhow,
Because he was
said.
named. Burn was named in the starting lineup
Before the
before they'd
lineup.
even warmed up.
Eddie Howe
Yeah.
got asked that question about
Did he?
about Botman, and he just said at the minute he feels that they need Burns' experience.
He says Burns just played
He
really
says
well.
Burns
basically.
just ahead of him.
Yeah.
Burns. He says Botman's going to get his chance. He's going to play a lot of. He says they love him. They love Botman. What he brings.
And they'll play many games.
But Dan Burns playing better than him at the minute.
Yeah.
Do you
Burn has
feel
been
as-
excellent. Like
Do you feel as if Eddie Howe doesn't know his best two centre-backs, if that's the case?
maybe.
I don't know if it's knows his best centre backs. I think he's looking at the opposition, looking at the way that they'll play, and picking his defenders based on that, and how whether it'll be a physical game where you're going to have somebody that's going to be up and rough and tough against you, or somebody that's going to be trying to play through you, and whereas you'll want Botman to read the game and stuff like that. I think it's just it's tactical selections for me, and I think we said he might do that as we go through the season, and before he'll settle on a pairing. Ironically, we'll probably come on to that there might be a change in the centre of defence, and maybe not the one we were expecting.
Because I think it's Burn and Shea, period. That's who he's to. I think he believes he's best too.
I think the way Burns being playing, Burn was the best player on Saturday.
100%.
And it's hard to, I think, how does like a pick on form, like like to reward players with that. And I remember the Pardew season where we finished 5th. We played the same back five for the first 2-3 months of the season, and that continuity felt as if it kind of lent itself to the results we're getting. They weren't conceding a great many goals to start with. And I don't know if there's something to be said for that, because at the minute, Trippier, Shea, Burn, Target is a back four with Pope behind him, and that's kind of pretty solid at the minute. I like Botman, I think, but I agree with some of the criticism that Botman's had. I've seen it. I think he has at times looked a little bit kind of careless on the ball. That might just be a case of getting used to the speed of the Premier League. It might just be, or whatever it is. It can be any one of many reasons. But he looks like he's going to be a good defender. But yeah, the minute Burns just playing that well, I mean, he's not like Franz Beckenbauer or Virgil van Dijk in his pomp, but he's playing well enough that he's hard to drop.
Yeah, so we saw the return of Bruno as well, Decker. So Bruno walks into that midfield trio, as you would expect it to happen.
And even walking, he's quick at long stuff.
Yeah, he does. Strolls.
Sorry, go on.
It was his first game back, and you could tell.
God,
Yeah.
I was looking last week and the week before, I'm thinking, I can't wait to get Bruno back on that field and linking up with Isak. You could tell that he was nowhere near fit enough and mentally ready Bruno.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying he had a bad game.
Oh, no.
Far from it.
No.
But not to the standard that we've seen him at.
He just looked sluggish, didn't he? He just looked sluggish.
Lost it a couple of times,
he lost it a few times. He was trying to force balls like Hollywood passes, which isn't a fine, like Shelby does them as well. And I'll always give people credit for that, because I think as the game went on, we needed that type of pass. We needed someone that was willing to take a risk and try that type of pass, rather than playing the safe ball. I get sick of the safe ball all the time. And Bruno, a few times we were knocking it around, then he'd try one over the top and it went straight to the goalkeeper. There's loads of groans around me, and I'm like, hey man, he's just trying to make things happen, But he just looked a bit slow, as if he was carrying something, I felt. But it was still great to see him back. And I know people might say, "Oh, you've seen this on hindsight," but I did say at the time when I was sitting with, I said, I was disappointed that it wasn't Willock that was dropped. Yeah, because I feel that he's played every single minute going, and I question that a little bit, to be honest. But it was great to see Bruno back though, because he's one of the three that I think we're missing. Let's be fair.
I probably wouldn't have started him. I think
is that once again in hindsight though.
No, maybe, but you just think with the period of time that he's had out,
you only had 2 days training. Apparently,
that's the key thing.
International break coming up as well. So.
I don't know. You're rushing him. I don't know. He's rushing back in because he has been out probably a little bit longer than we expected him to be. But it just felt that he probably didn't need to start the game, and it could have went either way. He could have came in and picked a couple of passes and we took a comfortable lead. So that's maybe where the hindsight does come into it. But it didn't feel like we needed to rush him back in there. We could have stuck him on the bench and eased him back in. Because
on 2 days training, I agree.
Yeah,
when I heard that, I was like, oh, really?
Yeah, that's all he's had. Then you think that you've got blokes like Longstaff, who actually
he's been getting better, hasn't he? He's been getting better.
When he came on, there was at one point where he put pressure on we won the ball back in their half. There was one where he put a block on the edge of the box and stuff. He for coming on, he did all right, I thought. But if he's not fit, he's had 2 days training and he's got an international break coming up. Give him that rest, But
it's hindsight, isn't it? Because he could have come on and could have set up 2 goals. Well, you're like, that's why you're risking it. It's a hard one at times.
Either of those ones that hit the post goes in. It's a totally different. Again, I mean, they didn't, so that it's hypothetically, but especially the Joe Linton one.
What's that saying about your auntie?
I'll have your auntie Jean's a wonderful woman. Auntie had tits. Sorry, Jean. But I like that. Looking at those ones, then it's a totally different conversation. You're a bit more buoyant. You're saying because we had that period at the end of the first half, that kind of just where we hit the post twice, won the free kick, the Joe Linton one. The keeper made a couple of good saves, had some balls going in the box. You think, oh, this is we're starting to turn
that was all in the spell of about 30 seconds as well, wasn't it?
Like 42, 43 minutes on the clock.
And I think that actually, well, I didn't annoy us. Of course, I was like, oh, we should be 1 up now.
Yeah.
But it was a bit like, I thought the first 10 minutes of the game, right? I thought, hey, what it is? I thought we're knocking it around really, really well. Yeah. Again, I thought Burn's just so calm at the back for me. Like I absolutely love him, I do. And he was spraying out the same ball all the time to target. It was, but anyway, we're passing out really nice, but without really doing anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then I agree that 2, 3, 4 minutes. It was just we didn't want half time to come at that point.
It was like the Alamo one. It just kept on getting at them.
And I thought, like, where's that been for the last 40 minutes? You know what I mean? I just felt that we didn't really hurt them. I didn't feel until that moment.
It's difficult when you've got 11 players behind the ball, though, isn't it? And that's
it is. But
House said that knew that would happen. He was expecting that, and they said it's our job to try and play it through because there's nothing wrong with Bournemouth playing like that. No, you know that's if that's how Bournemouth
we've done it plenty of times.
God, well, not always very successfully, but just Chris. But yeah, that's how teams set up. If we've done it against Man City, we've done it we've done it against like Norwich.
Yeah,
you know, like if that's how an effective way for a team to come away from a hard away game with a point, then there's no wrong with that.
In fairness, they got pumped 9-0 about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
so no surprise they're coming in that manner.
Yeah,
no surprise whatsoever. But
this is probably a problem which we're going to face a lot now because teams aren't really going to come to Newcastle and St James's Park and go out with like they have done in the past.
Only
it depends on the teams, doesn't it?
Yeah, like Tottenham will do it.
Look at years back, you would have teams like Bournemouth, Crystal Palace coming and look at taking all 3 points.
Yeah.
We're seeing a different animal now. We're seeing Newcastle having to break teams down.
What in the Championship? If you remember, it could be really frustrating games because you'd be sitting there looking at I was going to say Ipswich was scored off like 25 seconds when every player touched the ball. But you watch Gator Burton at home, the one with the Matt Ritchie penalty thing. And we won that 1-0 with a fairly late goal, and that was just because they were packed so tight, and we had to find a way through them. And that was at the time really frustrating because you think we've got these players who are clearly too good for the Championship. They won the league, didn't they? But and they've just got to try and find a way through. And that's how it is now. It's a different challenge. You could even say towards the end of last season, teams were still attacking them being a bit more open at the back because our natural kind of a game would be to get them on the break with the pace down the flanks. Even for all, we missed Saint-Maximin massively, I thought, at the weekend. Almirón and Fraser are capable of getting in behind and kind of causing bother. I just reminded myself of all those kind of floated crosses towards the end of the game. That was no one attacking the near post.
This wasn't towards the end of the game.
All the way through. We did get a penalty from one, but
this is what really, really pissed us off, if I'm honest, is that you could quite clearly tell, right, that Bournemouth were playing 5 at the back, but they were staying so compact and basically saying to her, go down the wings all you want.
Cross the ball in, we'll deal with it.
Cross the ball and we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Quite easily tell that, right? And after 60, 70, 80 minutes, we are still trying the same bullshit since we were from the first half.
For me,
and then he waited far too late to bring Wood on, can I add?
Exactly what I was going to say.
And when he brought Wood on, we never got a fucking single crossing. He then started floating the ball. Well, I know Howe didn't, he wasn't playing, but I'm trying to say is...
Playing from deeper.
Oh my God. That was infuriating. That was, honestly, it was shockingly managed that.
But we're watching the game,
opinion.
and you can see in the second half of it, they were looking up the east stand, and the crosses coming in, and there's just nothing at the near post.
Nothing.
No one attacking the near post. No. Where, get Wood on there, get him on after 65 minutes, let's say.
100%.
Put those balls in, and you're going to get some more success.
We never attempted to drill the ball into the box, though. Everything was flighted stuff. Nobody was just trying to flash it across the face of the goal and see if you get a deflection or something or
a handball.
The reason why that ball was not getting drilled in the box is because our friend who's had a decent start this season, Miguel Almirón, has decided to start running around in circles. That kid has no right foot. So every time the ball was coming out on the wing...
We've known that for 3.5 years, though.
It was all...
I think...
It was all Trippier in the overlap every time when it was always Trippier.
I think it was massively in the spotlight at the weekend. Yeah. Every time he got the ball, the defender just went, have it.
I know what you're going to do.
But how simple would it have been just... Because we could see it, so surely the bench can see it and go, God, this is going to sound like a criticism of Eddie Howe, but...
You're viewing the 90 minutes to remember that. It's important to remember.
Why not just swap Almirón and Fraser over so that they don't have to keep cutting inside?
If you've got a target man in the middle, that's great because you can get down the line and put the ball in on your stronger foot as it is instead of the inverted wingers. But if you've got Isak's not a target man for all he's fucking 7 foot tall, he's not going to he's not Alan Shearer or Niall Quinn or...
You can tell that's not his game.
No, but the issue was they lined up along the edge of the box. So the only thing you can do is get the ball in behind the defenders into that corridor of uncertainty.
Another one.
Get it into there and attack the ball. You're not going to attack the ball when you're just standing on the edge of the box because the lack of movement was absolutely ridiculous.
Because we've played with that kind of winger for, I don't even know how long. Ben Arthur played on the right-hand side. He was left-footed. We've not played with normal kind of... Obertan was probably the last one.
Well, another problem, right, is there was a few times. I'm going to go back to Almirón. I just want to say this one thing. So, for me as well, certainly that's maybe the second half. Yeah, there was so many times where I felt right now, cross it now, and they didn't. They went back to Trippier. He had a little look. Went back to Almirón
all the way to the other side,
and then it went back to someone. Then we decided to cross it. Shite. I couldn't believe the amount of times where I felt now you should have crossed it, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But to go back to Almirón. I mentioned this in the car to Chris in the way, and you got Mahrez right from Man City. I understand that Mahrez is better than Almirón, but he's as left-footed as he is. I mean, literally, Mahrez does not have a right foot. What Almirón is incapable of doing for some reason is physically coming in the inside. You know, like Ben Arfa used to do, or Maxi does on the other side. Physically come inside onto your stronger foot. For some reason, he runs, but then he'll run towards the corner flag.
Kind of runs and stops,
and then come back on himself to get on his left foot. Just come inside onto your stronger foot then. I can't work it out, but this happened 6, 7, 8 times because I watched the game again when I got in for my sins. And when that happens, the move's gone. Whatever momentum had built up's gone because he takes that long to come round and he passes back to Trippier, the move's dead. And it baffles us why he can't just come inside.
In fairness to him, though, it was very congested in there, wasn't it? So if you're running into there, you still haven't then got an open man to pass to, which was half of the problem. Because
there was a few times where I felt, I mean, we'll never know because he didn't come inside, but Isak was physically trying to make a run where if Almirón comes inside, he has the opportunity to just slip it down the, what did you say, corridor of nonsense?
Corridor of uncertainty.
Corridor of nonsense.
Yeah, whatever. But because he comes all the way around on himself in a U shape, well, it's just gone. The chance is gone.
Yeah.
And listen, we've belted Almirón for a bit here. What on earth Fraser was doing on that side of the field? Goodness, Lord Almighty, shocking.
And that's why I'm saying
shocking.
Just swap them.
Nothing.
Swap them over, and then that means for in those moments the pair of them don't have to cut inside. You can then whip a ball in like we're. Which is what you're crying out loud to do.
Fraser physically, for whatever reason, would not run with the ball. I felt a lot of times he got the ball and he just played it back, or he played it inside. Physically never got the ball and turned and went, you know, I'm going to have a go at you today. See what you've got to offer. I never seen him try to get past the fullback once in 90 minutes. Well, however long he was on the field for anyway.
And this
I found that strange.
Probably down to how Bournemouth was set up, just to sit and not move. But then you need to look at changing things. Yeah. And like you said, Chris Wood should have probably came on a lot earlier. But we've just seen that he comes on the pitch for the last 10 minutes, if that.
Was that? Yeah, 6 minutes. He come on. I couldn't believe it.
So he comes on, and you don't get the ball in the box.
Yeah.
So bringing him on wasn't necessarily going to change it.
No, it wasn't. But again, I agree with what Mark just said because I don't want to sound like I'm slagging any out of you because I feel like I have the last couple of minutes there. But that wasn't working, right? It wasn't working, right? For that, and I'll go to the second half here because the second half was really bad. It was terrible. I mean, I don't think the keeper made a save, did he? I can't remember him making a save in the second half, personally. But change the shape. Let's change it up. But it stayed the same way anyway. And bringing Wood on that late was quite criminal, I thought. Let's go 2 up top here. And he brought on Murphy, which I actually agreed with. But also to add here, I felt as if when we didn't have possession, Murphy was out left. But when we gained the possession, Murphy was up front and through the middle.
Yeah.
So couldn't work it out.
There was at one point, Murphy comes on the field and he didn't touch the ball for a while. Now I looked at Mark and I went, it looks like he's getting in positions where he doesn't want to touch the ball. I've
done that a few times. We said like,
honestly, it looked like he was hiding.
Well, I've criticised Murphy previous years because of that. But I don't know. It is tough, but at least he was a bit direct. That's what we missed, didn't we?
Yeah.
To me, there was too many people playing it safe. If A passes to B, B to C, just all along the middle here, nice and pretty, but not going anywhere. No one physically wanted to just get the ball and try and run at someone, and that infuriated us a lot. And I say about the Wood coming on that late in the game was just madness. Like,
do you think
madness?
The game at the weekend there, Bestie, it's highlighted how desperate we were for wingers.
I think so. Yeah, I think like a better standard of winger than we've got. Saint-Maximin notwithstanding, like I think it. Yeah, maybe there was talk on how wanted a wide forward, wasn't it? Like Ekitike was the one that who apparently isn't happy at Paris now, or they don't like him, whatever. Yeah, someone that can kind of just cause more problems because we're sitting here, we know that Almirón's one-footed. In Bournemouth, that have been talking about that all last week.
Yeah,
make sure he doesn't cut inside. Get him on his right foot down there, and he's lost. Then you've got Trippier coming forward, overlap. I like an overlapping fullback, but you've got all that room in behind you, which is how the goal came about. Both wingers, actually. I've got a bone a bit with my target about that as well, but that's for later on. But yeah, I think it definitely showed that we're a bit deficient in that regard. And it didn't quite feel as though Isak kind of fit into the system, but trying to play either for me, like very isolated.
The thing is with him, with Isak as well, is it's hard because you're judging him how Wilson plays. Wilson's physically strong and he leads the line very well. He's a complete forward, I think, Wilson, like in terms of that. Whereas I felt Isak got knocked off the ball a lot of times, you know.
I wouldn't have faced a couple of times as well.
He did, and it's tough for him, I think, because the service to him was just. I mean, I feel like we've went back years, because we've said this about every striker. Going back to Joselu, what's he going to do with that service? There's nothing. You can pay £60 million for someone, but if that's the service you're going to give him, that's the performance you're going to get. Because there's nothing you can do.
Thing is, we're a team at the minute. We're a club that we're still transitional. We're looking at the bench on Saturday. You know, there's like 15 people on the bench now because of all the rules changing and stuff. I was looking at the bench thinking, Christ, that's desperate.
It was.
They were all first teamers last season.
Yeah.
They were all, that was the first team last season. So that's what you got to remember is.
I was good not to see Anderson on there, can I add?
He was injured,
he was injured, because he was actually sitting to the right of me, but he was struggling to get up the stairs.
Aye.
Honestly, so
I think he could have been a difference in that.
I agree.
He would have been team at the weekend.
I think the thing with him at the minute is he looks like he's going to be very good. There's that little bit of the unknown about him as well, where teams won't know how to kind of deal with him yet. Or they'll be learning, but they won't kind of know exactly what he's about yet. So yeah, I think that kind of would have worked in his favour, and I think that will later in the season maybe. But yeah, look at that when you've got like £60 million striker up front, and then you've got Jacob Murphy coming off the bench. That's like the two. It's like the old Newcastle and what we hope is new Newcastle kind of the years to come.
Yeah,
kind of was still in that.
I think respectfully as well. I mean this respectfully to a degree is. You've got a £60 million striker and you've got Fraser and Almirón as your wingers.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm afraid that ain't, like, as much as I love Almirón, I feel like I'm bashing him, and the other week I seen how much I love him, and I do.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic here.
That's where we are. It's just where we are.
Yeah.
We've spent all that money in over 2 windows, and, you know, like, song and down £200 million, whatever it is. And it doesn't get you a massive amount. Individually, like, as regards to players, it doesn't get you, like, £200 million. Used to be that would be like a whole new squad. Or a new club in some cases. 60 million, a quarter has gone on the striker. And they've bought well. Instead of buying big, they've bought well other than that. But we're still not quite. We're still a little bit of Newcastle. Newcastle. That's still, we haven't quite managed to.
No.
We'll
a few windows.
We'll be fine.
Few windows too.
Well, I was reading, it was Mark Douglas put a thing on Twitter, a conversation was having with somebody, where he was saying, like, they've got 10 games till the World Cup in the transfer window. Come January, you get the players back, they'll be a bit better again. And it's progression, and we are progressing compared to this time last year.
Hard to beat. We're very hard to beat.
We are, but teams don't score many goals past it.
Yeah.
If at all. I mean, that goal on Saturday was a bit of crap, actually, to be honest with you, for a few reasons. But yeah, we're kind of. I'm not now watching Newcastle thinking we're going to get beat here. Even on Saturday when they scored, I thought, for all we weren't producing an awful lot, I still felt as
Could you see it coming though? I felt
goal.
It had that feeling of
a little
we're
bit.
just huffing and puffing a lot here, and they're going to break the score.
Pope didn't really have anything. There was a couple of shots that he saved. There was once actually where he got lost under the ball a little bit in the first half with one of their lads headed it wide.
Yeah, there was a shot at him where he almost. It's weird. He almost got his body to the wrong side, but he saved it fine. Yeah. It was just a bit unorthodox.
It was a little bit, yeah.
But the one with the header, he was beating all ends up.
He was just kind of like, it's like he took a step, it's over his head, and I think, well, that's...
The 2 minds, wasn't he, coming out for it?
He was a bit, yeah.
Just got caught in between.
Oh, we're back at the point now, and we've been here at many times over the last few seasons. It is just showcasing how much we miss Saint-Maximin and the creativity when he's not on the field.
What are you looking at me for?
Mark.
I think he was going to ask you that question.
It does, doesn't it?
We're missing him, yeah. It's a bit of spark that we needed, and there was nobody else that, other than potentially Anderson, who might have produced that at the weekend. But it's
because there was a lot of people in the last 24 hours saying that they're never going to criticise Alan Saint-Maximin again.
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
But I think
not
this time,
a chance.
Not
a chance.
You can clearly see when he's not involved, we don't have many options.
But I'll go back to what I said a few weeks ago. Would I get beat off Man City? Would I get beat off Wolves? 100%. If he wasn't on the pitch in them games, we wouldn't even get any points on any of them.
I think it's a different thing when teams attack when there's a bit more room in behind. That's where Almirón and Fraser can make a difference because they've then got the room. But I think we said earlier about Almirón not coming inside, but there's just bodies all over the place there. So if a team are pressing on a little bit more, and there's that room in behind. Look at that Palace game last season when Bruno put the ball over the top and he comes in and scores. So I think when teams do attack, that means it's a little bit easier for them. But they don't have the quality that Saint-Maximin has in running at a defender, skinning him.
Well, there was a few times when Joe Linton moved out wide.
Yeah, there was.
Because we had nothing down the left. We had nothing down that left. But there was a few times he got it, and even in my head, I was saying, I wish that was Maxi now picking it up because he had 2 to beat or 1 to beat. You know what I mean? And he could do that. You know what I mean? And we just didn't have anyone that could run that. Could directly run at someone. Yeah. We just didn't have anyone that could physically run at them.
It felt like a game as well. I don't want to keep on going on about Isak. I like him. I like a look at him. I've been so well, I've criticized him so far. Penalty was actually really good. But I think Wilson starting on Saturday would have been a different game.
I totally agree, yeah.
Because what the attributes he's got, what he offers is with the strength, holding the ball up, bringing Almirón Fraser into play a bit more. I think, obviously he's not fit, so it's not a decision Eddie Howe's had to make. But I think that's one way we did miss him. And where he's still got a big role to play, in spite of the fact that he might not be he isn't the main focal point there anymore.
I also just want to add that I think this is why I defend Maxi as much as I do, is because I just feel like that's how important he is to it. Yeah. Even when he's playing poorly, he still takes defenders to one side. He still has the opportunity to make a burst and run. Yeah. Yes, his end product can be questionable. But goodness Lord, how many times did we cross the ball on Saturday? And it was just horrendous. And we're talking from good players, I thought, as well. Yeah. Just awful.
Even when Saint-Maximin's off colour, like, defenders have still got to think about him.
You've got to start.
You can't just leave him. So you've got to double up whatever it is, and that kind of takes away from like a centre forwards defender. You know, it means that the team's got something else to think about. Where even if he's playing shite, they're still thinking about Saint-Maximin and what he can do. You know,
there's so many times when he's coming on the left side, but obviously we all know, even the opposition do, he's going to come inside. It's still hard to stop. But then that draws over the centre half. It might even draw over on that centre midfielder, which then creates room for someone else.
How many times late last season were we sitting here on a Monday night saying Saint-Maximin was shit last night or the weekend, but he scored. He did bugger all, but he got 2 assists. And that's the kind of player, you know, he's got that in him. So, I really do think we're missing him.
We're having the same conversation what we've had about Wilson, though. It's a player that we've never seen him have a full season. He misses a lot of games.
Yeah.
He does, but I think last season his minutes weren't as bad as that, though, were they? I'm sure he still played one of them.
A lot of
season.
Right up until Christmas, he was missing a lot, and then after Christmas as well.
Was it not last season when he disappeared to France?
Might have been
before.
A couple of times.
Everyone was kicking off.
Because he's board games and all that.
His board game. He had an event in Nice. And that, didn't
I do think, though, with that, I mean, I'm not trying, Almirón doesn't, and he runs everywhere. But you always worry about that style of player, like, you know, like sprinting as much as he does. I just worry that he's going to get injured more than enough. And I also think maybe he's the type of player that has to feel 100%, otherwise he won't go. And that's another problem. That's a problem that if he's not, you know, much that he's got the Daniel Sturridges like, but if he needs to be 100% before he's willing to go.
Howe almost came out and said something along those lines, didn't he? Where it was like they thought he'd be back, and then all of a sudden he wasn't.
Setback.
It wasn't quite right and stuff like that.
That was last year. Was it last year he said that? I'm sure.
No, he's just said it at the weekend as well.
Well, I thought he said that was a setback of his injury, but I'm sure last year he actually said like, oh well, he's not feeling it or something. He actually said something a bit more worse than that. But listen, the proof's in the pudding. There's just no question that he's invaluable, man. He's invaluable. So, as I keep saying,
when he's on his game and on his song, 100%. But it's not always the case. It's almost like, oh well, had he have played? We don't know. Yes, we might have created, but he might have also have had exactly the same issues that we had at the end. Because
you think the input would have been the same as what Fraser gave?
No, I'm just saying him couldn't just think how they basically had a 5-4-1 formation. So him coming inside, he's coming into bodies. So it's still.
But it's taking bodies with him as well, though. If he's coming inside, he's moving bodies around, creating space in behind that. I think of the Isak goal at Anfield, which Saint-Maximin wasn't involved in, but the way they kind of moved, you've got players getting sucked out, trying to counter him, ruin behind. Then the goal Man City scored against him, where Botman kind of got sucked into Haaland and Silva ran in behind. Like, that's what Saint-Maximin can do. He can worry players that much. Oh, I've got to stick on him.
But Bournemouth were that deep, though. There wasn't any space in for us to get in behind, really, which is probably why Isak just struggled so much.
He did struggle on Saturday.
I think that's the difference that you get from seeing the other wingers. Like Bessie said, if he's not top of his game, he's still taking players away. He could be having the worst game of his life, but the players are still shitting the pants that something might come.
Remember when Andy Carroll was here and he would come on with like 20 minutes left or whatever, and you could see defenders like thinking, shit, it's Andy Carroll, I'm going to get hurt here. And there was times when Carroll did nothing, but he was frightening defenders and they were starting to kind of make mistakes as a result.
I tell you, he's not the same as Saint-Maximin any stretch, yeah. But Townsend, Andros Townsend, right?
Yeah.
I used to see him have horrendous games, right? But what I loved about him is he'll constantly get at that fullback for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Every time he gets the ball, he'll just go at him again. And if he loses, all right. And next time he gets the ball, he'll go at him again. And the odd time, he would pull out an absolute worldly of a goal.
Strike
right?
a ball, by the way.
Couldn't half strike a ball.
Where
But
is
that's
he
what
still
I
at
mean
Palace?
by what? Sorry,
Is he still at Palace?
To be honest, I have
Did
no
he not
idea.
go to heaven?
I
said that, Rafa got mine,
That's right, he did, yeah. Now, obviously, going back to the Maxi thing, that just what surprises on Saturday was like from Fraser, and that is, I never seen that. I never really ever seen them get at the fullback or whatever. You know what I mean? I just never seen it. I just which done this. Did you think Fraser got at the fullback?
All of the no, because everything went down the right hand side. It was constantly everything going down the right.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time it was Trippier and Almirón that
went down the right, then a big circle.
Yeah, that's because it went back up the right. Go down to there, and then he'd put it back to Trippier, and then why?
It was
just
Trippier,
but he wouldn't. It would just pass it. It was coming across.
Trippier,
coming across.
Almirón and Willock just
that's
in
the
that
only place it
triangle,
went
over and over again, and it was frustrating to watch.
It really was. It was.
It was really annoying, wasn't it?
Well, and to go back, that I just really felt we missed that spark of someone that could bring something different to the game. That's I think
100%.
Another player which we're missing, a player who has completely turned it around since Eddie Howe came in, is Shelvey. And I think that is the game where I've looked at and thinking things could have been a bit different with Shelvey on the field. But once again, is it a case where the longer a player is out, the better he gets in our brains? In our minds?
No, that definitely happens. Like, yeah, that is a thing. Like,
it does happen.
Totally agree with you. Because sometimes when you've seen a bad performance, a player that hasn't played gets better.
Yeah.
Oh, would have won if he was on. And I do understand that. But I think
like Saint.
No. I won't. You can't honestly sit there and tell me. I don't actually. You might believe what you tell yourself, but I think Shelvey, he just has that ability to unlock a back door, right? He has that type of pass, but equally though in them games, he could. I've seen them many times where he can be frustrating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just annoyed with the sideways passing in midfield constantly. Like there was a lot of that going on where it was the safe ball all the time,
and that comes to the complete lack of movement that we had. There was just no, and even like this would have been the difference we say with had Wilson have been there, because what I was even looking for Isak to do is when we were camped on the edge of their box, because that was constant, just lined up along the 18-yard box. There'd be 4 or 5 our players in there. Somebody just drop back a little bit, come away from your defender, give yourself a bit of space. Get a ball into your feet. Then if the defender drags out, that creates a space.
The ball in mind, maybe.
Nobody was doing it. Yeah. Nobody was coming forward for the ball. So it was going, as we've said, side to side to side to side, because there was nobody just dropping in, coming to get it. It was all just looking at the box. Oh, well, I can't pass it anywhere here, so I'm going to come back to here. I'm going to go back across to there, back across.
I'm going to mention a player which we haven't mentioned, if I can. I was very disappointed in Fabian Shea on Saturday.
Yeah. I think St. James's Park were disappointed.
This
is where I was going before when I said about talking about with defenders.
And I was going to come back because I know what you meant. On one game, like, do you change him after one game?
It was kind of bad.
Well, it was bad, but sorry to go back to me main point. What I was trying to make was, in terms of unlocking the team.
Yeah,
Shea has the ability many times to come out a few yards, and he finds a pass, not the traditional Hollywood. He fizzes one into someone in the middle of the park. There was none of that on Saturday. He chose the wrong ball every time. He hit passes, he overhit passes.
There was one point where he drove the ball out in the second half. No, second half. We're playing it wasn't Leeds.
Yeah.
And you can see Trippier's on the side goal, and he didn't seem to want the ball.
Yeah.
He was approaching halfway, and it was like, right, I don't want this anymore. Like we see Mike Williamson do years ago. And it's like, it felt really strange because Shea's, as you say, very capable. He's a
Very
good footballer.
capable. Yeah.
Technically a good player, but he just didn't seem to want the ball. I don't know if he was like looking ahead of him and just seeing like these lilac shirts, thinking, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it was strange because, as I say, normally I always find he starts a lot of moves off forward.
Yeah,
like you might not expect, but he does. He comes out from the middle and he finds a pass, but he really struggled on Saturday.
That shot towards you.
So I was just going to mention as
Yeah,
well.
he
That's
seen
when you know
Burnley-
he's not on his
Burnley
game.
in his head again, didn't he?
One that was all right.
He dragged one. If I remember, he dragged one across in the second half, and it just went wide. I'm sure that was him. But then there was another one. He's outside the box, and there's only a couple of minutes left, if that. And he absolutely wellies that.
Yeah.
And it almost hits away fans.
Mind you, Joe Willock did one and all. In the same position.
Did
Goodness Lord.
Willock was
But he got booed.
Willock was poor for me at the
Terrible.
weekend.
Willock was really poor.
I said that to you, and you went, "Oh, he wasn't bad in the first half."
I said the first 20 minutes he played all right.
I think Willock was poor. I think it's getting to the point now with Willock where you're looking at who's the weakest link in the midfield, and it's Willock. Like if you've got Willock, Joe Linton, Bruno, and we've said Bruno wasn't wonderful at the weekend, but his first game back. Willock for a while now, I've kind of watched him thinking like I don't really know what to do.
I put on Twitter at the end of the game that I thought the second half was dreadful, which I'll still stand by, and I said Willock has been poor for a while, in my opinion, right? And people were honestly coming back and were saying they thought he had an excellent game on Saturday. And I'm struggling to say excellent game. Excellent game, you know. That's a strong word, that. Like, he was dreadful. I mean, the one thing I will say though, right, is I didn't feel he went hiding and he was still trying to make things happen. I have to say that because he was
involved.
He was involved.
He was involved.
There was one where I think he collected them in the box and he flicked it up for himself and volleyed it.
Lovely.
Lord.
The first touch was lovely to flick it up as well.
And that nearly hit the away fans as well.
Did he throw his face across the ball?
People, everyone watching, stop fucking saying shoot.
Oh,
stop saying it, man. It every time. I'm sure someone got it.
Going on for decades.
Yeah, well, from about but Shea got it right.
Dummett used to get it every time Dummett got the ball.
But that again, that is coming to the frustration that we were feeling because nothing was happening. So,
but the 55 yards out, they're shooting from my house.
The thing is, though, Shea's on his books and he has that and goes,
I'm going to hit it. He didn't. Honestly, he revved up and I went, please don't. And the lad who sat in front of me went, I'm thinking the same. Like, because everyone's shouting, shoot. And I'm thinking, no, man, he's 50 yards out, man. But you're right in what you say. He's like, happy days. They're all saying, shoot, I'll crack on. Bang. Fucking hits the program seller. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? But so just stay and shout, shoot, man, will you? But anyway,
it was a bad day at the office, wasn't it?
It was a bad one.
I think that's what it's got to come down to. Yeah, I don't think
it was a. Do you know what it is? I don't think. I know this came across quite negative throughout this tonight.
I think I've been the most. I have to apologize.
I think it's more of a frustration thing that Bournemouth cancelled us out and they've done it so easily.
Yeah, I think
we haven't even mentioned the time wasting either.
I don't think we've got a right to.
We're not allowed to do
I
that.
don't think we've got a right.
It's part of the game.
It is. It's part of
the game. Like, I'm not fussed.
Yeah,
really, to be honest, it's frustrating at the time. But looking at it, how teams set up, we did it so often.
People were kicking off around me because at injury time they were obviously doing it. That's 6 minutes out, and they were, and there's people around me going berserk. And I'm thinking, well, we should beat them in 90 minutes.
Yeah,
there's no point whinging now. Like, do you know what I mean? Because we would do it.
If I'm honest,
we did it.
We've sat here again all season and talked about the goal against Palace that was disallowed, like things at Liverpool that it's perceived went against with the Man City penalty. I thought we were quite lucky to get a penalty on Saturday.
I've never seen
come off it.
I've only seen.
You've not seen that thing? That's a penalty.
I've only seen it maybe once or twice, but it didn't jump out at me as being that's a definite overturn. That's a clear error. I'm not convinced.
He puts his arm out.
I thought it was a penalty.
Let's have a look again. Right, you talk.
Mind you, in real time, I had absolutely no clue what was happening.
No,
except Trippier was the only man who was adamant that was a penalty.
So I thought the referee was having a discussion with two players when they were defending the corner, and I thought there might have just been a bit orgy-bargy happening in the box.
I thought that as well, yeah.
That's all that it was. Then, next minute, he started another, and I got penalty here. All day long, it's a penalty. Then I went, actually, it'll be our luck. This will be the one where they'll go,
you'll not give
I'm going to stand by me.
I could be wrong. I meant to ask this as well. Was that the move where someone played a lovely ball to Trippier and he almost looked offside? He had that much time.
Yes.
But then decided to cross it, which I thought was quite mad. Like, I felt as if that's a good chance to shoot. I mean, I'm glad he crossed it now, technically, because he got a penalty. But That was the only time where I felt we actually got a ball, all in
driven
behind him,
driven into the box.
and then.
But
Yeah.
knew straight away.
Oh yeah,
Straight on the ref.
instantly. Yeah,
But as you say, he was the only one that did, and he was right in the referee's face. And the ref straight away saying, "Well, they'll check it."
Yeah.
But he's Bestie. I think you might be in the minority here because everybody coming in saying it's a blatant
There's
handball,
a
ball away from the body.
definite movement of his arm to the ball.
Is that it? Is that what it got?
Is that the first goal you're looking at?
No, this is the ball over the top. Trippier.
There's an angle. No, wait, you'll see an angle in a second. That's just so blatant.
When you see it from the sides, he literally
That's who we
moves.
are now.
He moves his arm to the ball.
His arm to the ball. Yeah.
I don't know, lads.
Really?
He's not looking at the ball. It's come from like 2 yards away. I still think we're quite lucky to get that.
Nah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
there was another shout later on for another one as well.
Where from Murphy?
On
I think
the
it was on the
left-hand side, wasn't it? Milburn side.
Yeah.
Their goal. We haven't covered that at all. And we didn't cover ourselves in glory either on that. But
it took me a few seconds for my brain to kick in and go, "Oh, they've scored."
You could see
because he
and Pope as well.
The view I had of it, you can see. I forget to put the ball up. You see Phil Billen right there.
Yeah,
he's a
so
good player,
much room.
Phil Billen.
He's alright.
He's a good player.
He's canny. He's not. I like his name.
I've liked him since he was at Huddersfield. I think he's
Huddersfield. Danish, isn't he?
I thought
Belgian.
I thought he was offside. So from where I was sitting, I said, "No problem, he's offside." Dan Byrne was definitely thought he was offside.
So much room.
He was like, "Didn't Roy Pope get the ball? Yeah, it's offside." And
what about Fabian Schär? Where did he think he was? Because he certainly didn't have any bloody clue where he was.
I've watched it back a few times. Like Schär was too busy looking at the player in front of him.
He just switches off.
Forgot about him behind him.
Completely
I thought
off.
it was.
He had far too much space.
Is that the one? But Trippier was out of position, though, wasn't he?
We know how it started, right?
And Trippier not try and bring somebody down.
There's a point. We had the ball. They won the ball off with, and Matt Target starts chasing their bloke, and he chases him right across. To Almirón, and then back. I'm thinking he's out of position here. So straight away we lost him. Just fucking come back, get in a position, and let Bruno deal with it, or someone on that side. And that's how it started for me. And then I think Trippier was a bit out because the cross comes from the left there. Their left, our right.
Yeah.
But so for me, Target shouldn't have done what he did there. Trippier's out of position by the looks of it. Shear's lost his man, and Dan Byrne hasn't come over. So all four of them, getting the bin.
This is why I feel a bit sorry for the centre halves personally, because I thought the fullbacks let them down, and meaning that everyone had to shuffle across in a certain way, which ultimately left a free man.
Yeah,
but again, it's clever from Billen because
it's a great finish.
He finds himself in that space in between the two central defenders and just arrives late into the box, and we were massively missing.
It's Byrne who's looking across, but he
can't get anywhere near.
But he's thinking about what's going on behind him as well. So he kind of, if I go here, it's going to go over my head. They've got to. So it was awful goal to concede.
The move itself broke down.
Yeah,
they were almost in. The move broke down, then it went back out wide again. Yeah. Almost had another chance to reset, and but obviously.
What I want to mention about Byrne, because I've seen a lot of people give him credit, and rightly so, because his recovery in certain positions was second to none.
There was one towards the end, he puts a great tackle in.
There was. I feel as though there's a couple of times in that game where he was getting beat by the bounce, where the ball was bouncing, and he was trying to be the big lad, blocking off the winger, striker, whoever was running in, and they just ran around him.
I didn't know.
That's where the recoveries came from. Like that sliding tackle was one of them.
There was definitely one where he misjudged, and I thought he's in trouble.
Ran around the outside,
but somehow he managed to.
Yeah, he got back.
Somehow he got back. I honestly thought he was.
He had a good game.
I've seen a few people comment about me saying that Howe got it wrong because he started him, and I was a bit surprised. I don't really know what. I actually also thought his distribution of the ball was very good. Mm-hmm. Always found a man. He was quick with it as well. I think overall the tempo needed to be quick, but not from him though. I thought he was all right in that regard. Like,
you look at the game itself and you look at the stats. There's 20 shots at goal, 7 on target. I think there was. It wasn't. Do you know what it was? We're still creating opportunities, but it just was a bad day at the office.
Yeah, like say we hit the post twice in the first half. They could say they had that spell where
the free kick was.
Yeah. Joe Linton, should Joe Linton do better with that chance?
I think he's got a. He can.
The first one or the second one?
The one we hit the post.
That was the first one, wasn't it?
No, the second time we hit the post.
But his first.
That was his first.
So it comes over to him. He hits the post, then it comes out, and then the keeper pulls off an unreal save, and then it comes to it's Fraser.
Fraser.
Keeper pulls off another great save from.
I've only seen the Joe Linton one.
From Joe.
like as it happened, as I was there, and it looked like he had a lot of goal to aim for. But that might be me being.
I think he does quite well, Bessie. I think he
Yeah.
shifts his body, then he actually tries to put it in that corner.
Yeah.
Then it's just unlucky. It hits that.
It's very
It's like right in the crossbar on the post, isn't it? It
Yeah.
comes back out.
Yeah, he's very unlucky.
And that's when he gets his second chance. His second chance comes off that, doesn't he? And the
It
keeper
goes
saves
back
it.
out wide again. It
Keeper
comes in again,
pulls
yeah.
off two cracking.
Yeah.
I mean, their keeper had a good game.
Neto, wasn't it?
I think this is why what frustrated us the most is I totally agree. Right, we could have went in at half time 3-0 up, right?
And that's them fine margins.
It is.
Yeah.
But I remember playing against Cambridge at home.
The keeper had a worldie as
Right.
well.
Yeah, he did.
And we got beat 1-0, right? So you know you can have all the ball, you can have all of this, but I think the second half that annoyed us more than anything because I didn't feel that we put them under any pressure at all, actually, in that second half.
They dealt with it all very easily. It was
so easily, aye.
repetitive. The crosses from deep,
Yep.
especially in the last 6 minutes injury time. We think, right, we've got a chance here. Press them. And it was just the ball from deep, and their keeper's going, it's fucking great. It's like training. I've got Almirón going down, well, a bit earlier, Almirón going to Trippier, ball in, known it in the post. Dealt with how many free headers their defenders had in the box, and just gone, get in.
So they were queuing up sometimes to get rid of it. I was like, where the hell where's our bodies here in the middle? But,
It was just
if that's your game plan, that's why I know it again. If that's your game plan to get the ball out wide and whip it in,
Yeah.
well, surely people have got to be in the middle.
You know, thoughts.
It was just mad.
I don't know if it's a game plan or if they just ran out of ideas. That there's nothing happening through the middle because there's that much congestion in there that are going, right, we've got to get it down the wings.
And then you bring Wood on after an hour. Then don't wait 86 minutes.
Would have been what I did. Like, I mean, Wood. Obviously, he's only got 2 goals for us since January and all that. You know, so it's not like we're bringing on Les Ferdinand.
Yeah, but goodness Lord, if you're wanting someone to run in behind, I don't think I'll bring Wood off the bench. But if we're just going to try and cross it in the middle, let's get this 10-footer on.
Yeah,
you might as well. You know what I mean? I just find it mental. To be honest,
I would have brought Wood
But
on.
then we didn't cross the ball.
About 20 minutes.
Well, no, but I'm saying if we had brung him on with not the 5 minutes left, I mean, you know,
if that's how they're playing, then you cross. If they're playing that way, if they're crossing the ball in, then Chris Wood's got to be.
But that's what I'm saying. When he came on, we didn't cross the ball.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying if they bring on 20 minutes earlier,
Yeah.
we'll play the way they played
Yeah.
up until, you know, the kind of, because we're putting the crosses in until about 70 odd minutes in. Give him, even if he's just got 20 minutes attacking them, even if he's not winning them, the same thing that the Carroll thing is a problem.
Yeah.
The ball could drop to someone in the box.
Totally
You've got a chance.
And it shouldn't take Eddie Howe to tell those players on the field that you need to cross the ball in the box when Chris Wood's here.
Yeah,
Should
well,
be second
yeah.
It was peculiar. Maybe he was one that says not to. Like they put the ball in from deep, try and win a second ball. I don't know.
It was strange.
Isak did take his penalty well though.
It was a good
He
penalty.
did. Well,
Well.
Bruno had it for ages.
Yeah.
Bruno had the ball. And I've sent me dad. I went, oh, Bruno's taking this. And then Isak went over. And the one thing I found a bit strange, and I don't want to criticize him here, but I felt what Trippier did was a bit weird, I felt, on that penalty, where obviously Isak had the ball, he puts it down, and like Trippier almost stands in front of him.
He's blocking the keeper.
Aye, and he's like talking to him, and I'm thinking, like, oh, just give him a bit of.
I think he's trying to
You know.
stop the keeper from getting in his head. I think that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
I felt as if he was getting in his head. I just thought,
I
just
didn't
let
fancy him. Like
have a bit of a breather, like, you know.
I didn't fancy him.
I
at
didn't
all.
know if I thought they were maybe having a conversation of like Trippier wanted it or something like that.
No,
I don't know.
it was really funny. He was, I mean, I'm talking a good couple of feet in front of him,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was like, you could see him talking to him, like, give him some time, let him have a breather, you know what I mean? But anyway, he finished it fantastic.
I saw that,
Great
and looking back, I think it's stopping the keeper.
Okay. I didn't think of that, so good show.
Right, let's get down to the questions then. First one is from Fish and Rods, who says, has the start of the season effectively put the nail in the coffin of Murphy, Fraser, and Almirón? Come to you, Bestie.
Nail in the coffin. I don't know. I mean, they're all players that we've sat tonight and said that we need to kind of improve on. I don't know about nail in the coffin. I think out of those three, Murphy seems to be the kind of next one out. Almirón he still offers a lot. He work rate and all that. As an attacking option, he's, I think, limited. Maybe he's being a bit generous, to be honest with you. Wilson, Murphy, Fraser. And Fraser's a funny one because towards the end of last season, he was excellent until he got injured. Like really, really good. And that run of games that
Where was he playing?
St James's Park, Elland Road,
He was
Carroll
playing on the
Road.
right wing, wasn't he?
Was he not covering for St Maximin?
Playing on the right.
Nah, he was on the right, yeah.
I don't remember.
But
Honestly,
I
I'm not
think-
being. I honestly can't remember.
I think his position is left wing, though. That's his preferred position.
Seems to be.
It is.
In the past, when he was at Bournemouth, that's
Yeah.
where he
Mind you,
played
can
and
I will
stuff
just
like
add
that,
here,
but-
Bournemouth fans did not like Fraser, did they?
No,
I didn't hear it.
I
we
didn't
didn't
hear it,
hear
but
it.
I read about it.
It wasn't until afterwards I heard
It's
about
back
that.
to the acoustics of St James's Park, where the three of us sit, me, Bestie, and Mark. you can't really hear much from
Yeah.
other parts of the ground, can
I
you?
understand.
No, I can't hear.
Unless they're really going for it.
There was a couple of comments in tonight saying that the Bournemouth fans got under Fraser's skin, but I didn't hear a single thing.
I didn't until they scored, and even then
Yeah.
it sounded like they were like playing it far into the
Fraser,
RBI.
what's the score? There was shot, but there was
Was it?
one of a party
They
when
were
you
singing
pop it and that.
about
But it is
Oh,
we are.
Really?
I'm right in the very back row, and the quartet just gets lost over the top. Even like noisy away fans, I tend not to hear it. It's
Couldn't understand that. Yeah.
unless we're like deathly quiet, which is starting to happen.
You won't
again.
be able to see them either, will you?
I couldn't.
Atmosphere
I couldn't
was
see the road.
dreadful on
It
Saturday.
was really poor.
It was dreadful.
2 games in a row now where it's been a bit flat.
Yeah.
I think I did miss the flags, but
There's a question about the atmosphere coming up, so we'll cover that in just a second. But anybody else anything to add on Murphy, Fraser, and Almirón?
I think it's only a matter of weeks that we've been sitting around here saying how good Almirón's been this season and how well he's been playing.
Well,
and
we're a fickle bunch, Mark.
it's
I think certainly Murphy
frustration
and Fraser,
is impacting a lot of people's opinions after the weekend, and
Yeah.
it's not as bad as people are making out.
I think Murphy and Fraser will be towards the front of the queue for players that are going to get replaced.
Murphy will. Oh, yeah,
Murphy's got a
will.
big contract.
Murphy and Fraser in the bin.
Hmm.
Almirón, for me, progression is a football club, right? You go back to the bench on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
In a few years, I don't want to sell Almirón at all. Let's be very clear here. But I'd love to see Almirón on the bench, though.
Coming on,
Because the starting right winger is absolute quality. And Almirón is what Murphy is at the minute. That is the next progression. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
if you're bringing
pecking order.
He'll be coming on where Murphy's coming on now.
now, we can bring 5 subs on. Bringing Almirón on with like 20 minutes to go, the legs he's got on him to run at a tired fullback.
And I think Almirón has been.
Or even get him through the centre, get him going through there, because we know
played
what
well
he can
there.
do in that
Remember when-
little inside left position.
Remember when they had Wilson on right hand side and Mickey through the middle briefly years and years ago? Now it worked.
Almirón's
It
been
worked
excellent.
We just needed to mix it up a little bit at the weekend, and we didn't.
Was that when Mickey was a false 10 that I'm referring to?
Right.
That's again what I'm coming back to. And again, listen, I love Eddie Howe. I'm not criticizing Eddie Howe. I am in a minute. But I love him and I never want him to leave and all the rest of it, right? But I was sitting there scratching my head a little bit, thinking, come on, Eddie. Let's maybe change the formation, maybe swap wingers, maybe I don't know. I was just surprised he stayed with
Maybe
that 4-3-3 and didn't change anything.
He could be looking at that bench as well and going, what's going to change?
Not much
Yeah,
yet.
there isn't much there. There's definitely not. But like as Mark says, and I know this might sound like a good old school tactic, but even to the point of Almirón's getting no joy down that side, Fraser's non-existent on the other. Let's swap them out. Let's swap them out and see what happens. Like I don't know.
I would have got rid of the wingers at the weekend and brought Wood on sooner than we did, and almost put him as a target man, and then have Isak and some. God,
It was clear, wasn't
in
it?
and around him.
It was clear that Isak was struggling on his own in front. Clear,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
And I felt as if he went Wood and Isak up there, and Wood could get some knockdowns or whatever it may be. I know it sounds old school, that tactic, but at the end of the day, that's what we were playing.
Yeah.
I think Isak could have come alive around someone else.
That's what they were doing to us. That's what they were playing 5-4-1. They would get the ball out to Solanke, get him to hold it up, and then bring.
Hey, I tell you what it is.
midfield
He
in.
had a few moments in the game I was really impressed with. There was one where he ran from midfield. He picked it up deep and just took everyone. He had nothing else. He couldn't do anything else.
He's decent.
I was actually
decent
impressed with him
striker.
at the weekend.
I would be
I'm not saying
interested to
sign
see.
him. I'm just saying.
In fact, this might be
But
a
well,
question
he
that's
couldn't
coming
win
up, so I don't want to jump the gun a little bit here. But when Wilson's back,
Well, I'll find that question now.
go on then, Chris. I'll cue you up.
It's by a dog by design. He says, how will Howe accommodate Isak and Wilson? Do you think Isak will be happy to be stuck out on the right?
I think if you play both of them, then you change how you play. You don't play one isolated in the middle with Isak down the wing and Saint-Maximin. If you do that, it's going to be Isak right, Saint-Maximin left, in it. Oh, it's those two in a variation of whatever. But I think if you're playing Isak and Wilson, you play them both as forwards, as strikers.
I don't think
Change your shape.
I don't think he'll change shape, and I think Isak will be on the right, but not like an out-and-out right winger like Almirón is currently. I feel like when we haven't got the ball, he will be. Sorry, but when we haven't got the ball, I think he will be, and I think he will go out way to the right when we haven't got the ball. But I think when we have got it, he'll be slightly more inside. So Maxi will still just be on the left as normal. Like.
Dan Whitten follows that up.
Isak ain't a winger.
No.
He's not-
But I'm saying he's not going to be. That's what I'm saying. You got to remember, listen to what I'm saying. When we haven't got the ball, I think he'll be asked to fill in. But when we've got the ball, he will not be out wide. He'll be
I
more
think
on
we'll
the
lose
inside.
a lot of width.
So
Oh, yeah,
There's a
I'm
lot
watching
of
Dan
work
Whitten
being
says,
that.
yeah, he says, "Oh, we're back to a Bar and CC situation."
I don't think so, because I think Isak and Wilson are different enough. Isak isn't a winger, but nor is he the same kind of striker as Wilson is. So I think they are different enough that they probably could complement each other, whereas Bar and Cisse would start off when Cisse first signed, moving Bar out wide to accommodate him. And then the second
Did
season...
Bar go on the left?
Ball went on the left. Yeah.
Because he played like, Bar, Cisse, Ben Arthur, then behind him was Gutierrez, Tiote, Kabay.
Yeah.
And that's where you'd put Isak. You'd put Isak to the left because that's where he likes to drift to so that he can come inside.
He does tend to do that Tifo video, like he does come in from halfway,
He
quite
does,
often
yeah.
drive
He
forward,
does,
like so. But I still think there's room to Maximin. But then if Madison signs, because I've got a feeling he probably will, you've got
Entitlements as well, of course. So
Go back to Madison. Now looking at that game on Saturday, we obviously you said there's a lot of money. It's all this. Can you see why he would have been a great player for? Based on that,
not for 1 minute did I say he wouldn't be a great player for it.
I think we'll get him. I think we'll go for him in January and get him. Like,
well, maybe yeah. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, I feel again that's what I mean by the quality that we do not have.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like.
But that would affect if you sign him. Then I think that affects where you play Isak, because then you don't want to play three of them because Isak.
If we'd signed Madison, we wouldn't have signed Isak.
No, but I'm saying if we sign Madison in January,
Yeah.
Then you then for what I was saying about playing Wilson Isak together as a two, you kind of play them and Madison because then you just lose so much from. For me, I would probably look at bringing Isak in. If Wilson's fit, start him up front. Isak, drop Willock, but then I'm changing shape. So
Geordie Toon for Life says, "Do you think we have too many workers in the squad and not enough creative players?"
I think that's probably fair to say. I mean, one of the big
That's what he was on Saturday.
One of the big kind of criticisms. And
That's where I got it from, to be fair.
One of the big criticisms of Almirón, and also one of the kind of big, one of the main kind of sources of praise for him have been how hard he works, but how much he's lacking in end product. And I think it's definitely fair to say that we've got grafters.
That's
Murphy grafts, but his end product. Sorry if you're watching Jacob, but it's shocking at times. So yeah, I think that's that little bit of quality. That's that bit extra you can work. I mean, I'd work my arse off. I'd be shit. Don't get us wrong.
You'd be a grafter though.
I'd be a grafter for the first 5 minutes and think, fuck me back. I can't do this. Snot. But sorry, I've got a button. I think that is a very fair criticism to make.
Next one up. This is from Aditya. That says,
from who?
Aditya. He says, "This one's to all of us. Were Simon Jordan and Gabby Agbongnahor right all along that Newcastle United fans are too self-entitled and over-expecting? 10th in the table and booing Eddie Howe."
Was Howe getting booed?
It was more of...
The referee got booed a bit, I think.
I said to you, I think it was even about 20 minutes from the end, I said, you can feel this coming.
Shea got booed when he had a shot. At one point, there was only one person in the corner. Maybe one used to, actually.
It wasn't us.
But I think there is an element of it. I think I'm not going to say Simon Jordan and Agbonlahor are right because I don't know what they said, and I think they're both dickheads. So
there's definitely a percentage of fans that their expectations are way from where.
Do you think people
where we are
have probably took a step back now to predictions at the start of the season, thinking maybe European spot was a bit too much?
I don't think so. I think we're still
we're capable.
Yeah, I think to be successful, you've got to the basic thing, the basis of a successful team every time is a defense. And we've lost one game. We've only conceded more than one goal in two, I think. Correct us if I'm wrong there. Like, like that's, to me, we've got the foundation here. We've got a good basis. We're talking about, does Botman come in for Sher? Does he come in for Dan Burn? And then we've got in Lascelles a more than capable Premier League defender who we haven't even mentioned. And he's kind of floating around all the time as cover. So I think we've got we've got the best keeper, the best English keeper in the league for me at the moment, in Pope.
We've got one of the best English centre defenders as well on form at the moment as well. in
Yeah.
Van Burn.
Got
When you look at
Target-
who's getting picked ahead of him in that England squad.
Target and Trippier are apparently statistically of the win
Yeah,
before
that's
the
right.
weekend.
Yeah.
That thing I saw, the statistically the best
Yeah.
English fullback. So for me, no, I don't think it was premature. The talk European or the possibility.
I just want to say that the question which was just sent in there, the boos weren't directed at Eddie Howe. Far from that.
I didn't think they were.
It was
The
it was
boos
at
were
the performance, wasn't it?
And the inability to get 3 points against Bournemouth.
But
That's what it was.
that comes down to people just expecting us to turn up and beat Bournemouth.
But they
Bournemouth
did,
have been.
Did you expect us to beat Bournemouth? Because I did.
I hoped we would, but they've been a completely different beast since O'Neill took
I
over.
wouldn't
compared
describe them
to,
as a beast, mind.
yeah. I was expecting to win. Like I didn't boo at the end though, but
that means yourself
of course
entitled. And
well, maybe to a degree, maybe I am in that
depends.
regard.
you would hope that we'd
100%,
have
yeah.
enough quality to,
Yeah.
to beat Bournemouth.
And,
but
and I
No,
think
I
that-
expect to beat Bournemouth like I expect to get beat off Man City.
and that's where I will come back. You can. I hate when people look at these. Well, we're not getting out there, and we'll get one there, and we'll try. You just can't do that in football. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And everyone does it every year. Well, we'll beat them at home, but we'll definitely get beat off Man City. Hasn't worked at all that way. It hasn't, and it will continue not to work that way. But I think I don't know. I said at the time that I felt European football was, and Bessie come back to us with a great analogy of why it was possible due to the fact of we hadn't won a game in the first 14, wasn't it? I think, and if we had all getting some points, we would have been woof above West Ham. Amazing.
Mhm.
I still don't believe that we'll get that 12-game run that we had last season.
No, not.
I just don't think. But I agree with the defense being so much stronger. It really is, and I know we'll concede the weekend, but that happens. I just feel that we'll have frustrating games like that where we're just unable to maybe unlock the door on a team.
I think it goes back to what Chris said at the start about that's how some teams are going to set up this season.
And I'll go back to what Rafa said. In fairness, Rafa said this a lot. Was there's certain games you can't win, you don't lose them. And in fairness to it, that's what we did on Saturday.
Yeah.
There's certain games where you have to hold your hands up, you're not going to win. We could still be playing. Nammo wouldn't have scored, in my opinion, but we didn't lose the game.
And that's exact mentality that Bournemouth came with, because they've been on hiding to nothing for a lot of this season.
Mm-hmm.
They've changed the manager, and all he's concentrated on is
hard to beat,
making them difficult to beat.
Yeah. And that's what they were.
And they pulled off their game plan to an absolute
perfectly.
T.
Yeah, they did.
They worked their asses off. They covered every blade of grass. Their fans were over the moon with that performance.
They should have won. We got a lucky penalty.
Absolutely,
Right.
give over.
I do think it's lovely.
We put performances in like that on Rafa.
Yeah.
Well,
They put a
should have
shift
couple
in.
of times.
They put a shift in.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, mate. There was a few I remember Wolves away and things like we were just
Chelsea, I don't think we're going to walk
getting
off at one
battered.
point.
Oh,
Oh,
when
yeah,
Hayden scored there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have no issues at all with what Bournemouth did at
No,
all.
not at
You
all,
know,
no.
I came away from that no issues at all. And them celebrated because I stayed quite late actually, and they were celebrating towards the away fans if they'd beat one.
It's
Fair
a
enough,
credit to
yeah.
Newcastle,
And I'm like,
really.
Because it's a good result for them.
Of course it is.
They travelled up to the opposite end of the country, worked the bollocks off, and they got a hard 4 point.
And
That's
going
what
back
they
to the
wanted.
question, I think was it about the booing? Is that what it was?
About the bone, yeah.
It was awful, wasn't it? But I agree with Mark that it was coming. I knew it was coming. There was people around me who were absolutely fuming.
The thing with the booing, it gets highlighted on TV. Of course it does. But when you're in the ground, you hear it. It lasts about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Then it followed by a clap. But you don't pick that up on the
The
TV.
thing is, I don't think it's necessarily that Newcastle fans are entitled. I think football fans, generally speaking,
100%.
are like that. We're quite a fickle bunch in that we do it. That the mood of this tonight has been kind of dictated quite a bit by what happened on Saturday. If Joe Linton scores that one, again, if my auntie had to deliver, if Joe Linton scores that one, or if Trippier's free kick sneaks inside the post, or their keeper doesn't make, they're sitting here
I
going,
thought the keeper got his fingers to it at first, like
the free kick.
yeah, but he just
No, it's
just straight on the post.
But we're sitting here far happier, and because we come with 1 point rather than 2, a point that we had to come from behind to get as well.
Mhm.
You know, it kind of changes your mentality so much, but you can't do anything about it. And I've never been a booer. I'm not into booing at all. I think it's like shite crack. But yeah, I don't think it's a problem. It's not a problem. I don't think it's a kind of thing that's unique to Newcastle.
No, not at all.
Like Everton fans are renowned for. You go to any ground around the country. If Liverpool hadn't come from behind to beat us, they would have been booed off the pitch. I dare say
Rather
Liverpool-
than booing us off the
booed
pitch.
I would say, I dare say Liverpool have been booed off the pitch this season because they've not been very good in times. Like, you know, it happens. It happens at Old Trafford. It happens at Sunderland. It happens at Leeds. It happens at every football club there is. If the expectation isn't met, whether or not that expectation is realistic, or if it's like a bit pie in the sky, people boo. That's just it's
I was
human.
just I was disappointed at it though.
I was. I hate it. I hate the booing.
Fuck's sake, you're joking. Like it just.
Every time it happens,
it feels like a lack of perspective to me. But I've never been a booer, and I've never really appreciated the booing. So I don't go there to boo at the blokes that represent me football.
It didn't annoy us as I can't remember what game it was, but there was a game last season where there was boos at the end of us, and that really annoyed us.
Late last season, like towards the good bit of the season,
back end of the season. I can't remember what game it was, but it was a game at home.
We're not saying boo earns.
And
boo earn.
No, there was boos at final whistle, and then people were saying, "Oh no, it was directed at the referee." And stuff.
Yeah, they tried to cover
yes.
it. I remember that.
And
Yeah,
I can't remember.
yeah.
But that really annoyed us. Whereas this one,
You saw it coming.
I knew it was coming, so it was like you almost expected it, and it was just
The atmosphere was shit though.
It was poor.
So yeah, the next question, it was about the atmosphere there, and I think once again you have to pay massive credit to what war flags have created inside of that stadium, and you could tell that it was missing on at the weekend on Saturday. There, that they decided not to do a display or leave any flags lying around for anybody to wave. Whether or not you agree with that is entirely up to you. We'll not get into that, but you could tell that it was missing.
Yeah, I think they've got that build up to every game, regardless of what the display is, where they've got like they do Hey Jude and they do the Blade and races and they do this and that and the other, and it kind of culminates in the players coming out, you get behind the team. And I mean,
It creates that cocktail for the atmosphere.
it does. And this time round, we had the minutes silence and the sound flash. It was just, which I'm not going to express an opinion on. But it kind of, I'm not saying that necessarily was the reason that the atmosphere was flat, but we didn't have that kind of big build up with the kickoff.
I personally think it's your opposition because I feel like, all right, we'll switch it around. Let's say we were playing Man City at home, and we had Joe Linton at the post, Trippier at the post. I reckon the roof would have been off the building.
Yeah,
I would honestly.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It was because the team were playing. We are expecting to do that anyway. We are expecting to win, and I just felt it was met with more like, well, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. We should be beating these. Whereas I feel if it was a different opposition, maybe not expected to be creating much, and we created what we created, I think it would have been white hot atmosphere.
I think that's a really good point.
I think the somberness of the day obviously impacted the atmosphere as well, but there just wasn't. Even when there was moments in the game, there wasn't that reaction that you normally get from the ground. I mean, even when we scored, like you seen it, like Isak was trying to get the crowd up, Bruno was doing it and stuff, and there was that momentarily reaction with the kind of a roar, and then that was it, fell flat again.
Yeah,
Did you think when Isak scored we were going to win?
No.
Did you not? No. I thought we were going to batter them for the last 25.
I thought you would miss a penalty, to be honest.
No, I'm saying that when it went
I nearly didn't watch a penalty because I thought I don't fancy him.
I thought it would have been a bit of a spark.
I really
did. To bring the game to life, the crowd to life.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
I think
got worse.
I think the way Bournemouth set up, they did such a good job that I thought we've got to try and do now. Because the goals were quite, there was like 3-4 minutes in between them, maybe.
Yeah, not long at all. Yeah.
I thought, well, all that's going to happen now is Bournemouth go back to playing how they played for the first 65 minutes or so. And it's just we didn't look, for the most part, we didn't really look like bothering them apart from that spell in the first half.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's we're done. Hour and 15 minutes gone by. As quick as that.
Yeah.
Any more questions, like?
There's more questions, but I think we'll just be repeating ourselves over things that we've already covered throughout this show. But it's just one of those games where we'll just have to learn from it. Back to the training ground. The international break is coming up now.
Got a week off.
Do you think it's came at a good time
No.
or a bad time?
Bad time.
The national break?
Yes.
I think it's going to be a great time.
Really?
For you or for the players?
Just for the country.
All right, okay.
We saw our first England game with the King for 70 odd years on Friday night. No, it's you've got that extra few weeks to get Saint-Maximin fit, Wilson fit, Shelby a bit closer, Bruno can I don't know if he's going away with Brazil or not this weekend, but maybe it's a bit time for him to convalesce and then come back against Fulham a week on Saturday.
Just tough game that.
Oh, very much so.
Tough. They're all tough.
They are.
I say that every week.
They've had a good start to the season, Fulham as well.
Yeah, they have.
So yeah, I think come back. We've got that extra fortnight's kind of preparation. No game on Saturday to try and kind of. Yeah, I think it's come at a really good time.
I can see that in terms of getting players back. Sometimes I think when you've had a bad night like that, it's nice to get straight back out and try and get out your system. Does that make sense? And I always love, personally, winning the game before the international break's always nice. But you can't have everything.
See the stat on NUFC.com about the Bournemouth game? We've never won the first game after a Monarchs died.
We haven't.
Nah. And we've drawn the last 3-1-1.
That's the most random stat I think I'll ever hear.
Reading it before I come out there. The last 3 games we've played after the King or Queens died, we've drawn 1-1.
Wow. No.
Aye.
That's pretty mad.
Are you trying to remember?
I'm trying to
remember.
I'm trying to think. 51.
The Livonia have been
three.
two before this one, though, wasn't it? But
Victoria,
since being formed,
Victoria,
and
Edward, George, Elizabeth.
Right. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight or listening back on the audio. If you are listening to the audio, like the video if you want to do so. It means a lot to us. Become a subscriber. We're really close to 9,000 at the minute, so we'll do plenty of stuff like this on a weekly basis. You get your match previews, your match reactions, extra time. You get Fantasy Premier League, which was just released to members earlier this afternoon as well. You also can become a member. It's $2.99 a month minimum there, and you get access to the Telegram group and early access to some videos as well.
But if you're still watching now, before you hang up,
stop,
hang up, press the like button.
It's not going live.
Click that like button now.
Thanks,
because
everybody.
we don't get enough likes. We've got thousands of people watching and about 100.
Thanks, everybody. See you later. Bye.